I'll be putting this video up on YouTube. This is going to be a guide mainly on team fighting a Slark, but I just want to give a couple tips to show my mindset. This is something that often happens in lane, especially when you're against some sort of solo offlaner. Most of the time, it'll be something like an Undying, maybe like an Abaddon. I'm thinking about pubs. In this case, it's a Beastmaster. So obviously I'm salving up, but I'm going to be full health. I'm level 5 now. I'm not level 6 yet, so I don't have my ult, but I have enough points in Dark Pack where it does enough damage. Ideally, if I were to... I knew my team was coming bottom to kill, but even then, if that wasn't the case, if I let him push this wave in here, and I know this may seem like a very rare occasion or something, but it actually happens almost at least once or twice a game when you're against a solo offlaner. In a normal game, obviously against a tiny where my supports aren't pulling or anything, it's a little different. But he's going to push the lane into me here, and a lot of people on a lot of carries would just let the lane push back towards you and let it run past your tower, which is obviously a viable option, but just watch what I do here. I walk forward and I pack the wave right when my salve's coming off. I pack the wave once. I do a little bit of harassment damage to him, and I run away with the pact. I always have my pounce available. And then I packed it again for the last hits. I know I missed one last hit there because of the tower. But ideally, if I let it run past me, I wouldn't force out this bottle charge. And it's a really good way to harass because a lot of offlaners will know that if they have a creep wave, they'll run after you. Like they'll just follow you into the tower. So if you packed preemptively right as your creep wave's dying, like maybe right as the last creep is dying, you can easily get a lot of harass damage onto the offlaner with that pact because they'll always be ready to follow you. They'll be like, oh, I've got creeps and he doesn't. I'm going to run after you. So it's often a very good time to harass with the pact, and then it weakens the wave so you can pact it again. If you don't do that, it makes it really hard to set up kills for you because you're running under tower, getting chased by creeps. But if you do, then you have opportunities like this where the lane's pushing back out towards him. Like this wouldn't be happening if I hadn't packed twice. The lane would be about right here, and I'd be chasing it back from over here. And this would be a lot less obvious of a kill. We had a lane ward, obviously, so it's beneficial here. But this kill just gets set up by the fact that I did that. I know that's all I can really explain is the fact that if you let the wave push under you like that, then it tells them where you are for a longer period of time and what you want to do, and they know there's a time where you're not going to be able to kill them. And doing what I did there makes it so that downtime does not occur. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward here. So now that I'm level 6, I'm primarily against a solo offlaner going to be focusing on going back and forth between the jungle and the lane. See here how I'm pushing out the lane. Going back into the jungle, stacking it. Going back into the lane, tell my team to leave me alone. In a pub, you can ask your supports nicely. I brought myself a Clarity along with my Bracer. If I'm ever using the Courier and I don't have full mana as Slark, I buy myself a Clarity. It's the only way to keep... The only way you have to go back to base on this hero is mana. So I always fly myself a Clarity if I'm using the Courier. Don't only use a Courier for Clarity. I knew he had a haste there, but I harassed him with a pounce over the cliff just to piss him off and make him use it. So next time around, if I want to kill him, he will not have that haste. I guess I did not stack that camp, but notice how I'm going back and forth between the wave. I haven't missed a single lane creep. I talked about this a little bit in my previous guide, but this is going to be really quick on Slark, and specifically. You utilize his bonus movement speed from his ult to push. Wow, I love how the towers are like weird diagonals on the map. So now that there's nobody in the off lane, I'm pressuring the tower, but I'm not going to be able to do anything anymore, so I run back to the jungle, work on the stack. Because I pushed the wave the way I did, I pushed it so hard, like in terms of with my double pact, my wave's going to go into their tower, which will then die to their tower, and my creep wave's not going to run into this creep wave that I'm going away from until it hits like all the way over here. So that's basically by pushing the wave, I'm buying myself extra time to go into the jungle than I would if I didn't push the wave. Like if I just was hitting the tower and didn't prioritize just packing this wave down twice, then I wouldn't have all the time I have now to go do this stack without missing any creeps, like I am. So I'm going back into the jungle, doing the stack. Notice I have not missed a single lane creep this entire time. So I'm going back into the lane. Actually, I do the fucking woods first. Oh, it must have been like a minor patch ago. So there's 4 bottom, so I'm just getting the fuck out of here. I know there's 4 bottom. Or I know they're missing. So as Slark, the first thing you should do, so this is something I've talked about in my guide on Game Leap, but it's easier to explain it here as well. If you see them like this, so this is assuming they don't have a disruptor, pretty much a disruptor. maybe a Doom, or a Wyvern. If they have none of those 3 heroes, then this is how you handle it. So we're going to quickly play it out here. So I push the wave out. They're coming. Sorry, apparently I waylanded faster than or farther than I thought I would. So I'm going to take this route, because if I took this route and I ran into a group of them, I'd have no way out. So I take this route to get max vision. I see them. And my first reaction, right when I see them, is to immediately pact. So say I got Earthshaker Fissured, like they were ready with it, and they instantly did that. So they were going to try to Earthshaker Fissure me into a Roar, into a Quap, Blink ult. That would just be the way they killed me. But since I immediately packed, it allows me not only to diagnose the situation, meaning like, okay, they're still chasing after me, even though like they know I see them. They're still chasing after me. Not only that, if I immediately pounce away, then or ulti or anything like that, then they can either be that immediately gives them the choice to chase or not. Meaning like if they see me ulti and that Quap's like, oh, I got blink, like we can chase after him. Then that gives them that choice, and I'm pretty much one-dimensional, and I can only run. Obviously, in this case, there's no chance in hell I'm going to re-engage, because I'm low mana and my team is not here. But because of that I packed first, it gives me that 2.5 seconds to think about what I want to do here. And then right after my pack's about to end, my escape mechanism is pounce. I never want to use my ultimate, because my ultimate doesn't relocate me nearly as far as my pounce does. So I use the pact. I evaluate the scenario. Why isn't it? And obviously I don't want to be here, but it also baits them slightly to chasing me more. It may seem like a very small thing, but they chase me all the way over here instead of like going back and farming these creeps. Like if I just ult away and they can run back and farm these creeps, like say it's a different scenario, I'm making them chase me for like an extra 3 seconds, which does matter at the highest level. So then they run away, like they can't do anything. Like if they were to stun me in that duration, I would have packed it and gotten out. So I wasted a lot of their time. We're gonna keep fast forwarding. I believe I go back to base here. Oh, yeah, okay, I do one more camp farm, that makes sense. I have enough mana to do 1 creep camp, so I do 1 creep camp. That's not surprising that I did that. I go the same build every game. If you have questions about items, the guide's on Game Leap. Go back bottom, immediately start pressuring. Like, last game I was like... Okay, so I was fighting a lot. These are some of the dark packs I want to talk about in depth. Because this is where most Slarks die and why people try to pull this shit off. So I go back into my lane. In this game, I know they have a silencer, so like just watch this setup by this Beastmaster. Like he has no creep wave. Like he has no creep wave really to benefit from here. He's sicking a boar on me. He's running at me while bottle charging. Like bottling means he wants to do something. So immediately when I see him running at me like that, I just start to pact after I kill that creep. Yeah, see the pact preemptively? I know he's gonna go for it, so I packed it off and then I pounce him and then I can turn the fight and kill him. Obviously, he didn't have to go from that distance in terms of, like, the roar. But if he had not taken all that time to harass me with the boar and had roared me from long range, he needs his auto attacks to kill me, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, I wasn't in danger of him roaring me from max range if I had, I wasn't in danger of him roaring me from max range unless he had follow-up, which I could see the tower and there's nobody TPing. So that's why I was only packing until he was ready to roar me. Obviously, I end up dying there, but that's a 1-for-1 when he's a core. I got the kill, bought out, or I guess I didn't buy out, but I got the kill and then got all the levels and then forced a rotation from their mid. I know it's still a 1-for-1 and I'm the carry and everything, but it's not like I'm losing a ton of farm from that. I still got a kill. It's not like I fed. I forced a rotation. We took a mid tower during it. It wasn't just a... I love how all the things are fucking diagonal. That's hilarious. So we're going to go ahead and fast forward here. A lot of things about Slark is making sure you're in a spot where you preemptively can pounce, or preemptively dark pact. Preemptively dark pact before... when there's any chance of something happening. Like, maybe he wasn't going to go on me there, but I wasn't going to take that risk. I run through that path, so I immediately check for wards. You know, there's a Beastmaster deep. He's fucking dead as shit. I'm not really concerned about this kind of stuff. I pretty much packed every single ultimate by silencer when they're from like across the map, and that's why I want to talk about this game in particular, because that's not like a coincidence. So I'm ready to fight mid. I chase after them. Okay. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. Okay, this is something nobody does in my fucking coaching sessions, or like I see happen so many times in my pubs. Like, for instance, the other week I was playing in a pub, and I had a pub Slark, and I was mid, and my Slark teammate we were going to contest them in the Roche, and we knew they had vision, like he was in Shadowblade, and you could tell that he was in vision. And he walked from here and tried to walk into the pit. We knew they were in there, but he walked straight in and got stunned right here and just got blown up to shit, right? Like, it just died without pacting. And I just was, like, in utter disbelief that he would walk into a dark, like, a place he has no idea what they're doing in there without pacting. So, like, this is really important. Whenever you're walking into, like, the Roche pit blind, whenever you're walking up a hill, that's when they're going to want to try to stun you. They're going to try to burst you down. So I'm chasing after them. Another usefulness of drums. Wouldn't be able to do that with any other item because it bursts my team to go into the fight with me, and it lets me run through vision without using my ultimate, and I'm 408 movement speed, which is pretty significant compared to 355, 360, 345, etc. So I run up this fucking hill blind. I start the pact immediately. I know the Earthshaker's right here. So I start this pact, and I know that this pact's going to allow me to get from here to here, especially because of the drums. That really is important. I get from here to here, and the minute that pact goes off, if they don't blow their abilities, like if they don't use anything on me, then the plan is I have to ult, right? I have to, because if I don't ult, they could global, blink, or they could stun me with fissure, along with the global, and then blink, scream me, and just focus me down with the Lycan physical. So my response, I basically have two options. I'm going in with my pact, and if they blow their abilities on me, which most people will, then they waste them because I packed. And if they don't blow their abilities, I will ult. And if they don't use their abilities to protect their team, they're dead. I can kill them during my ult. So that's the plan here. So I walk up this hill blind, trigger the entire global, packed it all, go in. I ult now because I knew I was going to get stunned by Earthshaker. Didn't want to have, I know that was a horrible quad blink, but didn't want to have them be able to burst me down from full. And I knew if I brought them down in the middle of my ult, then I would be, the only time you want to use your ult relatively early in a fight is if you know that during your ult you're going to get a kill that matters. And you're going to get a kill that would make it so that you're no longer in danger when you come out of your ultimate. So the Earthshaker is now, or the Earthshaker has used his abilities, and the Lycan's now going to be dead during my ultimate, so I'm willing to use it there. In worst case scenario, if that doesn't happen, I can always just get out. But if I don't ulti there, I can easily get bursted. That's why I had trouble in that last game against heroes like Disruptor, is because I'll hold on to my ultimate even just a slight second too wrong when they have instant cast stuff like Disruptor ultimate. Even Doom's a little bit easier because it's not insta-cast, but like stuff like Disruptor is insta-cast, so if I hold my ult even like a quarter second too long, I just die right here. It's the same concept, but with Global, it's a little easier to predict it, in my opinion. So we get the push off here. Right away, we want to go bottom tier, or my team doesn't need me for the mid tier 1. So I rotate bottom. I want to set up a push. Force rotations out. We were looking to go aggressive on the Beastmaster that we saw in lane. Force rotations. I have mana to farm, so I'm going to use it. Ideally here, I saw them rotate back mid, so I'm going to pressure in the lane. If they rotate back, I don't want to be here because I don't have mana. Looks like they're rushing, and I don't think we actually knew that. I think I assumed they were coming after me because they were all off the map, so I TP'd home. They were like in Beastmaster, and we were in no position to fight. It might have not even a bad idea for me to go home right after when I was low mana instead of farming, for the sake of the fact that if they were going to rush, we could contest it because we had our abilities up. That was probably a misread on my part when I look back on this game. If I had acknowledged their strong rush potential, I would know that farming with low mana is not okay. Because usually I only concern myself with like taking towers, and I know I'll be able to be back by the time I take their tower, or by the time they're ready to take my tower. But if not, in this scenario, like if I had just gone straight back to base with low mana instead of farming this camp, I probably could have been there to contest the Roche if we had called it out. But in this case, since I farmed, even though they, even if our team knew, like say we had a ward, even if we knew they were in Roche, we wouldn't have been able to contest them because I was no mana. So one of these things is Slark, because I knew they were all bottom. I knew they were going to be looking to fight. So here, the benefits of Slark is the fact that I'm in. I can see if I'm vision. I know if they have a sentry or not, unlike any other hero in the game. So what happens here is I run into their team, knowing that since they have nothing like Disruptor that can chase me down, I know that if they do smoke like they did here, which is really nice, I can instantly pop the smoke. If not, if it's more like a pub scenario where like they're all here and they're walking this way, I can quickly scout them out because it's a recently picked up Shadowblade. I know they have a sentry, but I can scout them out. And if the silencer even separates himself for a split second, I can kill him during the duration of Pact plus my ultimate, which will allow me to get this pick off. So what ends up happening here is if you run into them and you see that this goes off, you immediately pact, like not even a question. If you run into their enemy team and like you don't start with an ult, you don't start with a pounce. The only time you start with an ult is if they have like a doom. Like I've already said that a lot. If they have a doom or something, you start with your ult. But otherwise, you always start with a pact. It gives you that time that they chase after you. Like so they know they pop my smoke. I'm in the sentry. I use that time, like I said, to burst down the silencer. My team ends up re-engaging, and it's not even a bad fight, but they do have Aegis on the co-op. So the fight does drag out for too long, and this was something we talked about with my team where the fight ended up going too long and the Dazzle did not have a TP and ability to fight. So we should have backed off after that silencer kill. I know we traded 1 for 1 in terms of, or traded 1 for 2, but in all honesty, my team didn't even need to be there. Like I could have just killed the silencer. If you're looking at just Slark play and you're looking at more individual pub stuff, I would have been able to pick the silencer off and get away. But it's okay that like in a team game, it's going to be more likely that your team is there. And we even got the Aegis too, which is really nice. So that's me saying like I know they're all bottom. I'm going to scout them out with my Shadow Blade. If I get sentryed, I'm going to immediately pact and pounce right after the pact is over and ult to run away if need be. But ideally, I don't want to lead with an ult because then I can do this kind of thing. Come back in after ulting in the main fight. Like, because if I ult to run away, and so say my team comes with like a clockwork and he's like, oh, I'm ready to hook in and re-engage, and I've already ulted, it's like I no longer want to fight anyways. So by using my ultimate first, it makes it so it's not an option to go back in. Which is really bad on a hero like Slark, who's so good at re-engaging because of the nature of his passive regen. So we're going to go in... I know I ended up dying there, but even then we took Aegis, killed 2 for 2. Or killed 3 for 3, sorry. Back to farming. They're all showing on the map. So immediately, my job here is I'm basically like a Nyx assassin. I'm running around to see what they're doing. We don't know exactly where they are. We do have a ward here, but like we don't know where, like, say the Beastmaster is. And I don't know if there's anybody else in the woods farming or where the co-op is. So my job here is to quickly scout out. See if they have any sentries. Worst case scenario, the thing about this is that I can... the reason why I scout out like this is because if my team wants to farm here, they can. And if the enemy team's looking to gank somebody before they kill the tower, they're most likely going to look at our side of the map. They're not going to look at theirs. So if I want to farm during this push, like I'm not going to do anything for this push by sitting here. And if I want to engage on them with my Shadow Blade during this push, in no way is it beneficial to come from this direction, because if they have a sentry, that's where they're going to have it, right? Like they're going to have it, and they're going to be ready for me. So what I want to do on this hero is I want them to start their push. I want the fight to break out, and then I can come from behind. And even though they have a sentry, which I figured they would, they're not able to focus their attention on me and burst me down. So I quickly go farm their camp. Like I could have just guessed I was going to. They're not even pushing as a team right now. And now look what happens. The Lycan comes to farm his woods, and I'm already farming his shit. I know I took only 1 camp, but now I'm back top. I know I have a clockwork here, but it's my priority as a Slark to pressure their side of the map. Always have a TP on me, ready to fight if I'm in this kind of scenario. In the pub, obviously, it's not going to be like that when there's fucking 3 carries. Only have a TP on you if you're worried about the enemy team pushing. Like, otherwise, I'd rather have a Quelling Blade. But if you're, like, worried about the other team 5-manning, TPing is really good. See, like, now I'm going to come from behind them after all the main abilities have been used. Get some cleanup crew action going on here. I ulti now because I know if I got disabled during that time. I thought that was a really funny one. I ultied after I killed the Earthshaker because I knew if I got disabled during that time, by whatever it may be, or even caught out, then it would be really difficult to get out. And I had already secured the Earthshaker kill, and I knew that the fight was over. So that was like the mindset of my ultimate right there. Like I knew the fight was like all we're gonna do is run away here. So the last thing I want to do is take any risk that we're gonna die. So I bait them towards me there. That's actually really important. That may seem like a small thing, but I knew my Ember Spirit was low, and I went back on the co-op knowing that I'd try to bait them towards me like they did. So the power of Slark here. I only did this because I have a Dazzle. So you have to, like, little people acknowledge how quickly you get your health back. And like, this is one of those that I would never make this play if it was expected. Like, this is one of those kind of plays that only works because it's not expected. But notice here how their Lycan's relatively low. And I see that they're like they don't have any major abilities, and I can pact and pounce out. I think I might pounce him here actually because I have the Dazzle. Yeah, I do. So I pounce him. I know I have the Dazzle. I utilize the fact that I can burst him and then get graved and get out. I have a pact again to get rid of this, and I also have a wand. This is why the wand is so huge. Pounce away. The pact of removing silencer thing is really nice. It didn't used to be, so basically the interaction is this. It didn't used to be that you could pact off the debuff placed on you originally by silencer when he uses his E, when he uses his third ability. You couldn't pact the debuff. What you could only do is like utilize pact when it's on you, and then it will trigger, and then it will be removed. You'll remove the silence after it's already gone off. If that makes sense, like you'll trigger the silence, and then your pact will remove it. But now, if you pact prior to him using his E, then you will pact off the damage part of it too. Like you won't even get damaged if your pact had already been going before his E was put on you. So I get out there. Those are some plays that are game winning in all honesty. Those are the kind of plays like you shut down their push entirely. Two of our teammates were dead. I go back to base immediately, TP back in. Look for the chase, nothing here. But now all their abilities are down. They have no silencer global, so it's the time to push for us. Let me go ahead and fast forward. So immediately I scout out. I know for a fact that they have no global. I know they have no echo. I know 2 of their cores are dead, so I'm willing to make this play. I know the Earthshaker is going to take a beeline route to get back, so this is the decision I make. I know that he can try to stun me, and I have a lot of agi as well. And if I make this pounce, I have to immediately pact. During the pounce, like I have to pounce him and immediately pact, so I do not get disabled, and I know I'll be able to kill him. If he doesn't stun me, and my pact goes off, I will ult, just like I said, but he should be dead by then because of how much agi stacks I have. Free kill, and now they're coming back to life. I get out. Free kill. We got the mid-tier 1, or we got the mid-tier 2. It got denied, but we still got it. Take their woods farm before I go back top, because we're not really going to look to push this until at least my 2 supports are there. So, you know, those camps took like 2 seconds to do, total. I know they have a ward here. I ping it out. It's always good if you're a support and you have a Slark on his team and he knows what he's doing. If you have a Slark on your team and he knows what he's doing, to have sentries on you most of the time, because he can tell you when to deward. This case we did not have him, which is actually a bad thing. So take over their woods. Pressure their tower. Get a TP though. Did I not buy a TP? Oh, I got the gem. That's what I was doing. Okay. I was like, why didn't I buy a TP? If you weren't getting a gem, buy a TP. I knew they had a ward, so I asked them to buy me a gem. Now I'm running around the map checking for rewards. I know this isn't really a pub thing, but I might as well talk about it since it's in here. When you're a Slark, it's like one of the most easy things. Even if you don't, like, even though you're a melee hero and it's hard for you to see exactly where their wards are, like in terms of a melee hero and dewarding them, you'll always know if they see you, you know. So like you'll never miss a ward, which is really nice. It's kind of like a Night Stalker. It's like a cheap version of Night Stalker Ags. So I know they have no wards. I can see our team. Kill their sentry immediately. Okay. So here's like the thought process that goes into this fight. It's the same thing that on any other fight as Slark, like as the one I talked about mid. So like your pact is your insurance policy, all right? The only way that's bad for Slark is if you die before you pact, right? You don't even get your pact off, and that's why I already talked about heroes like Disruptor for me are tough to play against. I don't even have a problem with Doom because it's like it's not easy, but it's easier just because it's not instacast from long range as well as glimpse. But so here, I think this fissure's not there yet, but it's a glitch in the replay. So I know we go in, right? I'm into the fight. I have a Shadow Blade. I know they can see me. I mean, I'm gonna know they can see me when I walk around this cliff because I'm gonna see the sentry as well as the fact that my ult's gonna turn off. Right here, I know they're disabled, but right then I'm gonna hit, and I trigger. See how I hit the second I hit? See the second I hit? Like literally the second I hit that sentry, I killed the sentry first priority, because I couldn't get in the cogs. But just watch my priority here. Nothing else. I killed the sentry. And I immediately pacted, like literally immediately pacted. And what happens here is, say they did not global there. Say that global was not used. I would immediately have ran my hero left because I see where they are, right? If I had ran my hero left, and if I see him winding up a fissure or winding up a roar, I would have immediately pounced this to the left. and that immediately restarts the fight for me. Meaning, like, I'm over here, maybe my pounce and my pact are off cooldown, but in 7 seconds I can come back into the fight. But since they did blow all their abilities, I simply used pact, turned, and pounced. But when my pact goes off, because I know, even though I'm not global, that they have 2 stuns that pierce my, or that 2 stuns that can stun me to death, because of Earthshaker Echo as well, I immediately ult. Like, I haven't even watched this, and I guarantee I ult. Yep, I immediately ult, go back on the Lycan. Forced out a lot of their abilities. My team's now coming in. I know my Ember's low mana, but now they have no abilities. I kill the Silencer. Okay. Notice this, too. It's really important. So, like, this is something it's like a string of events. So I told you, insurance policy pact. If they hadn't used all their abilities, I would have either walked to the left, and if I saw them winding up, I would have pounced. Otherwise, I would have simply walked and been ready to re-engage with pounce. And then the minute my pact finishes, like, watch, it's going to finish. I see them here, I ult. And now that I ult, I hold on to my pact until after my ult's over. Yep, and I immediately pact. They roar me. So say he had roared me there. Like, it's just a theoretical. It's all insurance policy. He doesn't roar me there. I probably either walk behind this tree. Like, I would have spent my time packed. I would have turned around from here and went to here. I was pointing at the screen. I'm fucking retarded. So I would have turned around from here to here and, like, gone out of vision for a second if he hadn't roared me. And since he did roar me, obviously I continue chasing. But it's a whole idea of every time my pact is down, I don't want to be in a jeopardized position. So if I had pacted and he hadn't roared me yet, there's no way in fuck I would have pounced. Because of the way I have people behind me right now, maybe since we have all of our abilities, but most of the time if I use my pact and it's down, I don't want to pounce in, because now they can turn around, roar me, fissure me, quad bolt me, burst me down. And that's like the only thing I don't want to happen. So constantly, like, I'm insurance policying myself to make sure. See, my pact's down. I run out of vision. Notice that? I ran out of vision when my pact was down. My pact's back up. I turn it on immediately, in case for whatever reason. We get the kill. They're coming back in with Lycan. We don't end up getting this kill here. I believe we just backdoor this tier 1. Yep. So, like, I don't want it to seem coincidental, like, that I packed every single one of these abilities. It's not like the enemy team's garbage. It's not. That's not the case. It's really important that, like, the thought process that goes into it. So the reason I'm even looking for this kill is because I have 60 stacks of agility. So at this point, I know their global's down, I know their roar's down. So my thought process here is I'm going to run onto their side of the map, basically a Nyx Assassin style. I love how I'm, like, constantly bottled. And if I scout out, I don't like, once I saw the Lycan, I didn't immediately go on Lycan, right? Like, I didn't just immediately go on the Lycan. I was like, okay, I see the Lycan, now let's see who's around him. And I quickly check who's around him. I went up here, I saw the Lycan, I looped back through here, I saw the Silencer by himself, I knew the Lycan was over here, and I knew the co-op, there was nothing the co-op could do to me about killing the Silencer, because I also knew that Global was down. So I went for the kill, I used my ultimate to get out just as an insurance policy, just in case. Like, it's one of those that, from my mind, the fight's pretty much over, and if we do fight, their Silencer's dead, and they have no roar. So I could even consider re-engaging without my ult. The only thing I can't have happen is dying here without my team being there yet. But now that my team's all with me, I'm willing to fight without my ultimate. I love how I'm getting bottled. And I'm a Lycan. So we get the good clockwork hook in, re-engage back in. Look to pressure mid, force some buybacks. They don't have any abilities. I also have a lot of agi. So I hit the tower, I immediately packed. Okay. So basically on most heroes, when you feel like you're in danger, you have to back off, like from the tier 3, right? So the second that I'm hitting a tier 3, this happens a lot in pubs, so this is a good thing for pubs. If I'm hitting a tier 3 and we're sieging the base, and say our creep waves are dying, I'm going to show this one more time. You want to hit the tower as many times as possible, right? You want to push it as fast as possible. So we still have creeps. We're not exactly in danger right now. We still have the catapult. They use quad ulti. I'm still not in danger. They're still over here. So I'm going to... Okay, so I acknowledge that I'm in danger. Right? Like right now, the creeps just spawned. I'm getting hit. My Ember Spear told me he was TPing. I know we don't want to fight right now, and I know that if they go on me, he could roar me right here, right? So I immediately packed, and I used the pack duration to hit the tower. Like, hey, straight up, I got 2.5 seconds during pack to hit this tower, and right as my pack ends, I just pounce away. They're not going to be able to do anything to me. Like I said, obviously these rules don't apply when they have like a disruptor, and I just pounce away. But right here, I did not pounce away. Okay, 99% of the time I'll pounce away, but I didn't see them pursuing. I had a Clockwork Flare, so I knew they wouldn't pursue. But most of the time, if I knew he was going to try to roar me, I would have just pounced. But obviously, all these things that I'm saying are what I would do if they were going to do what I'm talking about. But obviously, I'm not going to pounce for no reason. But that's basically me saying if he had been ready to roar me, I would have pounced. Or like the Earthshaker was right here ready to fissure me, but we had vision of them. So back in with full health, looping in and out. Packed immediately. I don't actually pack this global silence off, but I know they have no Lycan and no damage. They have no Quap ulti either. Well. So the difference between this silencer global and all the other ones that I packed it was I knew they had no Lycan, so they were light on damage. I had just packed the damage already. I'm still full health, like pretty much full health. And I know they have no Quap ulti, so no Lycan, no Quap ulti. Earthshaker and Silencer do like no damage. Even Beastmaster does like no damage, even though like he has the attack speed over and everything. So even though you see like during this global, like I'm not even bursted. Like there's no damage dealt to me. I immediately ult under tier 4. In case of the Earthshaker, I did like at that time, like I know 2020 hindsight vision, I would have known he was in base, but it's hard to know in the middle of fights, so that was basically an insurance policy ultimate again. I know they're all dead, and I have a bunch of agi, so I'm going to take this time to hit the tower. Pounce away, just like I said earlier. I didn't want Earthshaker to stun me there, so I packed it and then pounced away. Use all this agi to actually farm Ancients, because that's like the only time I can. We might Rosh here, but since I'm low mana, I don't think I would. Yeah. If I was higher mana, I would have immediately just walked into Rosh because of the fact that I have so many agi stacks. Farm out the map. It's pretty straightforward from here. I just wanted to show that process. There were 3 key fights in that game that I really wanted to show. The one right here, the one right here, and the one mid. There's just a lot of key times on Slark. There's 2 right here. There are 2 fights right here. And then the one mid as well. I just wanted to show that, like, on Slark, your idea of weaving in and out of fights is his key strength with his ultimate, and that utilizing your pact and pounce, and basically having, like, a checklist, like, if this happens, I'm going to pounce. If this happens, I'm going to pact. And obviously, this is kind of stuff you're not going to be able to do the first 100 games you play Slark. But once you, or not, okay, I'll say 25 games, depending on how good or a fast learner you are. I'm going to go ahead and start queuing. But on Slark, the main thing is, like, if you noticed, there was no point in time in any of those fights in the early game that I was vulnerable, like, to getting stunned. Because when Pact was down, I was positioned in a spot where they couldn't stun me. And then when Pact was being used, I looked to be aggressive and did not commit until I knew it was a good idea. So, like, I don't Pact and then pounce immediately, because if I do that, and it's not a good idea, then, like, if, say, I start the Pact and then I pounce, I now have that 2.5 second window that I'm wasting. I could have been deciding whether or not. Obviously, there's exceptions, meaning, like, if there's a hero like Magnus that can skewer out, or Mirana Leap or something, like a hero that can get out if I don't pounce him right away, if they have, like, a Blink Dagger, that's different. But for the most part, you'll be in scenarios where if you pact and immediately pounce, then you've now put yourself in the middle of the fight where you don't really want to be. Sometimes, like, you'll jump in and be like, shit, I don't want to be here, and you're forced to ult out, and that takes away any chance of re-engaging. Unless you're, like, snowballing, which in that last fight I had already been snowballing. That's why I was able to fight without my ultimate. But the first 3 or 4 fights I wasn't. So as Slark, the main thing, like I said, is just that constant insurance policy. Have a way to pounce out, loop in and out of the fight based on your pact. It's a 6-second cooldown, 2.5 second uptime, or like duration, meaning like the delay is 1.5 seconds and it goes off for a second. So it's 2.5 seconds where you will not get stunned anymore. So, like in that last game where I died to Tiny, I thought that my pact would go off sooner than he could toss combo me, which I honestly don't play against Tinies very much as Slark because I don't really pick him into Tiny. Right there, my delay of 1.5 seconds to pact his avalanche down didn't even go off because he just killed me immediately, and that's like a misread on my part. Like I should have probably pounced out there. That was super early game when I was squishy and I had built a Midas, or I was gonna go for a Midas, and I wasn't. And that's the point where like Slark's vulnerable, and that's why I said last game that all this mid-game damage with Tiny was so devastating, especially with the Disruptor who could just keep me in his ultimate. Because that's when Slark's vulnerable in the mid-game, and that's why I like to go Treads, Aquila, Wand, Drums, because you progressively get tankier and tankier as the game goes on, and it just makes your snowball go so much easier. Last game I went Midas in my pub because they had 3 fucking cores, and if I didn't go Midas and died twice, the game was just over. I went Midas, and then I died like 4 times, and the game was over then, because I fed their cores kills. Which can happen once or twice, but once it happens 3 or 4 times, the game's just pretty much over in that kind of scenario. But especially in like, if you're thinking about playing with a team, you're like a 4K player, 5K player, maybe even above. The thing about Slark that's just so strong is his ability to re-engage, so you always want to be able to re-engage, and you should know that your re-engage timing should always be based around your pact. If they have a Doom, it's obviously different. But in this patch and stuff, like with Doom being such a popular hero, I think heroes like Slark and Huskar are a lot better against Doom. Most of the time, you can pounce before he dooms you. Like, a lot of the times, he will still doom you. Meaning, like, you'll pounce, but, like, right as you start your pounce, he'll doom you. That's happened to me plenty of times. That's something you'll see a lot in pubs, like, meaning you'll see a lot of dooms. So, the benefit of Slark against Doom and Huskar and stuff like that is because Doom's only good when he disables your passives. Like he's Doom with Ags shits on Slark, it shits on Huskar as well. But now that Ags got nerfed so hard, a hero like that's not nearly as good against Slark. And that's really the main one you'll see. The only other ones that I'll really pop my ultimate like immediately, other than Doom, is I really should have done it against Disruptor. Didn't do it like 3 times that game, and you saw what happened. And I would also do it against Wyvern. She's like the other common pick. Otherwise, I'll always wait till my pounces, or I'll wait till my pact goes off. And if I think I can get a kill, I'll pounce in. And if I do pounce in and know that if I don't ult immediately, that I can easily get stunned to death, that's when I'll choose to ult. It's kind of like this checklist. Like, I'm not going to ult unless I know I can get stunned to death. Like, if you're worried about getting bursted down by damage, right? Like, I've seen people that I've coached where they are worried about getting bursted down by damage. And I'm like, you're not going to get stunned here. Like, if they have no stuns, then why would you ulti that quickly? You don't need to ult. Like, if you're full health, unless they can burst you from full to 0 in AoE damage, which even then, if you're in your ultimate, you'll still die. But if they can't kill you in a stun, you should be able to hold on to your ultimate. And that's why there's certain games where, like, especially against heroes like TA, who are super popular, they can't stun you or anything. Just know that, like, you can hold on to your ultimate until the very last minute, maybe hoping they'll blink on you, commit to you, chase you a little bit longer. Whatever that reason is, just knowing you can get out is, like, the most important thing. That's the end of that. This will be up on YouTube.